Right now, the Royal Navy's Astute-class submarine force faces its most serious availability challenge since the class entered service. Across the fleet, submarines are tied up in maintenance periods, refits, workup programs and sea trials. The result is a force under pressure at exactly the moment demand for undersea operations is increasing. If you followed the channel for a while, you may remember my November 2025 video, The Astute Gap. In that video we examined the warning signs emerging across Britain's attack submarine fleet, maintenance delays, industrial bottlenecks, and the growing strain on crews and infrastructure. Today, many of those concerns have become reality. Russia continues to increase submarine activity in the North Atlantic. NATO is placing a renewed emphasis on anti-submarine warfare, yet the Royal Navy is struggling to generate enough attack submarines to meet operational demand. The Astute-class remain one of the most capable submarine designs in the world, but even the most advanced submarine is useless if it cannot leave its base. To understand the problem, we need to start with the UK's nuclear deterrent. The Royal Navy operates two classes of nuclear-powered submarines. The four Vanguard-class ballistic missile submarines carry the nation's strategic nuclear deterrent. Alongside them sit the Astute-class attack submarines, responsible for intelligence gathering, anti-submarine warfare, land attack missions, and supporting the deterrent itself. The Vanguard sit at the very top of Britain's defence priorities. For more than half a century, the UK has maintained continuous at-sea deterrence under Operation Relentless. At least one ballistic missile submarine must remain on patrol at all times. The challenge is that the Vanguard boats are now operating well beyond their original design lives. Keeping aging nuclear submarines safe and available requires enormous engineering effort. Maintenance periods have become longer, more complex, and increasingly unpredictable. The most visible example was HMS Vanguard's deep maintenance period at Devonport. The work lasted years longer than originally planned and absorbed huge amounts of engineering capacity. While that refit was underway, the remaining Vanguard submarines carried a heavier operational burden. Dockyard resources became increasingly focused on maintaining the deterrent force. That pressure had consequences elsewhere. His Majesty's Naval Base Devonport remains the UK's premier centre for deep nuclear submarine maintenance. The number of specialist facilities, certified docks, and nuclear qualified engineers is limited. When Vanguard-class submarines require urgent attention, other programs inevitably compete for the same resources. The Astute-class has increasingly found itself at the back of the queue. At the same time, infrastructure upgrades intended to support larger Astute-class boats have progressed more slowly than planned. The class requires different support arrangements from the older Trafalgar-class submarines it replaced, creating additional pressure on already stretched facilities, and that impact can be seen across the fleet. HMS Astute entered a major maintenance and upgrade period after returning from operations in 2025. HMS Audacious remains in extended maintenance following a demanding deployment and subsequent repair requirements. HMS Audacious completed a 403-day deployment between 2022 and 2023. The exceptionally long patrol was followed by a substantial maintenance requirement. After returning to Devonport in April 2023, the submarine faced a prolonged wait before entering deep maintenance, reflecting the wider pressures on infrastructure and dockyard capacity. Audacious finally entered number 15 dock in April 2025 and remains unavailable for operations, marking her as one of the most visible examples of the Royal Navy's submarine maintenance backlog. HMS Ambush has spent an extended period alongside at Faslane while awaiting maintenance and replacement equipment. Reports suggest the submarine has also contributed components to support the wider fleet, reflecting broader supply chain pressures affecting submarine availability. The National Audit Office has highlighted increasing reliance on equipment cannibalization over defence programs, underlining the strain on support arrangements. Think of her as the submarine equivalent of HMS Daring. HMS Artful has spent an extended period alongside since 2022. Problems affecting fast lane shiplift reduced available maintenance capacity, while priority demands from the nuclear deterrent program placed additional pressure on support resources. HMS Anson is now back in port, requiring operational maintenance. This is following her recent deployment to Australia and the Middle East. This makes her the most recent boat to enter the maintenance cycle. Meanwhile, HMS Agamemnon continues final trials before entering full operational service, while HMS Achilles remains under construction at Barrow. Viewed individually, each case appears manageable. Viewed together, they reveal a deeper problem. The Royal Navy does not simply face a shortage of available submarines. Okay, it does, but that's another problem. But more urgently, it faces a shortage of maintenance capacity, specialist infrastructure, experienced engineers, and trained crews. Supply chain pressures have compounded the issue. Defence procurement reviews have repeatedly highlighted shortage of spare parts and the growing challenge of supporting increasingly complex platforms. The result is a maintenance backlog that has steadily grown over several years. This matters because attack submarines perform some of the Royal Navy's most sensitive missions. Every submarine sitting alongside is one less submarine available to perform those tasks. Recognising the scale of the problem, the Ministry of Defence and the Royal Navy has launched an emergency effort to improve submarine availability. In January 2026, First Sea Lord Sir Gwyn Jenkins announced a new recovery plan which is designed to cut maintenance delays, improve coordination, and return more submarines to operational service. Part of the challenge has been organisational. Responsibility for submarine support is spread across Navy Command, the Submarine Delivery Agency, industry partners, and specialist contractors. The recovery plan aims to bring about organisational change to focus them on a single goal: getting submarines back to sea faster. At His Majesty's Naval Base Clyde and Faslane, additional engineering facilities have been introduced to expand maintenance capacity, while the wider Clyde 2070 modernisation programme continues to upgrade infrastructure and accommodation for the submarine force. But these measures address symptoms more than causes. Britain's submarine enterprise still depends on a small number of specialist facilities and a limited pool of highly skilled engineers. New workshops can be installed in months. Training experienced nuclear qualified personnel takes years. The same challenge can be seen in Programme Houston, which aims to provide additional floating dock capacity for submarine maintenance. Yet questions remain over where these docks will be built, how quickly they can be delivered, and whether the UK's industrial base is large enough to support future demand. And future demand is growing rapidly. The Royal Navy must simultaneously maintain the nuclear deterrent, support NATO operations in the North Atlantic, contribute to AUKUS in the Indo-Pacific, and prepare for future crises. All of these commitments compete for the same finite pool of submarines, engineers, and infrastructure. The consequences extend far beyond the Royal Navy. Under AUKUS, Britain is expected to help design and build the future SSN AUKUS submarine. Australia is investing billions into the programme, while the UK is expected to both expand its industrial base and submarine fleet. That ambition depends on proving the existing enterprise can sustain the submarines already in service. Nor is Britain alone. The United States is facing its own submarine production and maintenance challenge. Across the Western Alliance, demand for undersea capability is rising faster than the industrial capacity needed to support it. The question is no longer whether the problem exists. The question is whether the UK can rebuild enough capacity before the arrival of the Dreadnought and SSN AUKUS, which places even greater strain on an already overstretched system. So the Astute-class itself is not the problem. When available, these boats remain amongst the most capable attack submarines in the world. Their sensors, weapons, endurance and stealth place them amongst the elite of modern submarine fleets. The challenge is generating availability. That is why attention is increasingly focused on the forthcoming Defence Investment Plan. For the submarine force, 3 areas matter most. First, investment into Devonport's submarine maintenance infrastructure. Additional dock capacity and modernised facilities will be essential if future Astute and Dreadnought-class submarines are to avoid competing for the same resources. Second, additional support infrastructure at Faslane. Expanding maintenance capability closer to the fleet itself could help reduce pressure elsewhere in the system. Third, workforce retention and recruitment. Submarines depend on highly specialised engineers, technicians and crew. Retaining these skills may ultimately prove just as important as building new infrastructure. None of these solutions will deliver immediate results. Training people takes time, building facilities takes time. Rebuilding resilience takes even longer. But without sustained investment, the availability challenge is unlikely to improve. The next few years may determine whether the Royal Navy enters the 2030s with a revitalised submarine force or continues struggling to generate enough boats for its growing list of commitments. The Astute-class remains one of the most capable attack submarines ever built for the Royal Navy. But capability is not the problem. Availability is. Years of maintenance delays, aging infrastructure, workforce shortages, and competing priorities have left too many submarines tied up alongside and not enough at sea. The Royal Navy knows what needs fixing. The question is whether the Ministry of Defence can deliver the investment, infrastructure and skilled workforce necessary to reverse the decline. Because in the end, what matters is not how many submarines Britain owns, it's how many that are ready to deploy when the nation needs them. And that is the challenge facing the Astute-class today. If you'd like a deeper dive into how we got here, be sure to watch my earlier video, The Astute Gap. But what do you think? Can the Royal Navy restore submarine availability before the Dreadnought and SSN AUKUS arrive? Or are deeper reforms needed to get the fleet back at sea? Thanks for watching.